to the WE arena as EDG face off against WE. And let's have a quick look at this one. What is Clearlove going to be playing today? He's playing the Sejuani.
Of course he is. Of course he's playing Syjuani. But
I said it. He'd play a tank.
Yeah, and look, I think it kind of sets up well, right? Because you've got some really strong engage, or at least dive-orientated composition from EDG. So Sejuani fits into that really well. You've got double melee solo laners, so certainly a lot of pressure in towards skirmishes in the top side of the map for EDG, which is where WE traditionally like to play. We look across at WE though, Jayce in the top lane coming through for Breathe. I mean, you were saying, Penguin, you want to see Breathe and a carry. Well, looks like we've got it for ourselves. Sylas in that mid lane as well for Shang. So actually quite a lot of pressure. Like in a 3v3 skirmish, that's going to be a very close call in those top side fights. And also with the Ashe and Braum lane, the double Freya or bot lane, going to make it actually pretty tough for the Kaisa to manage in that bottom lane.
Yeah, very short-ranged AD carry, and even with the Leona, you want to be trying to dive in on top of people. There is a lot of dive here from the side of EDG. You imagine they just look for picking onto one person, then going in with the Gwen, the Nocturne, and of course, the Kaisa on the back end. But good disengage as well when you look at it. The Braum, the Zhao ultimate, a lot of ways of mitigating a lot of what EDG want to do. So be curious to see how they prioritize this game. And we were literally just talking just before we came into this one that EDG tend to prioritize the bot side, WE tend to prioritize the top, but that is when we don't have Clearlove in the team, so we want to see how that dynamic changes, if at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats coming through for EDG, like anything to do with Dragon, they're just first, right? Whether they take it first, how many dragons they have, whatever the hell you want, it's dragons are EDG's child. Like that's it. The big thing that it comes from as well is that, honestly, I think Meiko and Viper, best bot lane that we have in the LPL right now. They've been dominating that bottom side of the map, and I think that's what lends itself a lot to it. But as we said, like, Jiejie was kind of the orchestrator of a lot of this. Like, he would be the one that would go for these very early first bloods and then look to transition that in towards early dragons. And a lot of that would be pressure towards mid, facilitating bot with that then pressure. However, we now have Clearlove in. So very different story, where now we're starting to see, hey, this guy isn't as proactive when it comes towards these ganks, at least from what we've seen back in, like, when he's playing like 2017 to 2019. He would look more at being like a smarter jungler, look to counter gank. Like, he wasn't exactly the aggressive one. So now I'm curious to see how does that dynamic change with Clearlove back in the roster.
Clearlove is in. We got a little bit of information. We did a little bit of digging before coming to this one. Clearlove really wanted to play some professional League of Legends this year. He has played 4,000 plus games of solo queue, or even just ranked. It might be a mix between solo queue and flex this year alone, the most of anyone on of EDG. So he's been grinding for this opportunity.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know who Clearlove is, I'd be kind of surprised this is the LPL, but just in case, Clearlove was the first ever registered player in the LPL. He's number 001. He was a big jungler back in the day for EDG, kind of when they were at their prime. He never missed a playoff while he was on the roster, right the way up until 2019 when he stepped aside to become the coach of EDG. And he was always renowned for like his Rek'Sai, where he had like an insane win rate over his career on it. Really strong on that pick. And like being a very smart jungler, not mechanically amazing, but always kind of knew how to be in the right place at the right time. So we'll have to see if we're going to get a similar vibe here for Clearlove.
Yeah, we also omit the 2017 World Championship from his record. It doesn't count. We omit that from the record as a good hawk shot to spot him out.
INTZ does not exist as a team alongside HTK. That's just the way it goes.
That is very true. As we can see, Scout using the spell sheet to great effect to stop Shanks and Beishang from linking up, but you can see the kind of contention now in this top side as Clearlove goes in. They are going to flash for flash on the junglers. They may get the stun down. They do. First blood going over to EDG, and a nice combination there between Clearlove and Scout. Very old teammates. They still got the fire.
And we were just saying, you know, like, point quote explanation is what college essays like. Here's my point. Clearlove likes to go for counter ganks. He's not going to kind of set up for them. Explanation. Please look at your screens. You can see that Clearlove decides to go for the counter gank and turns it around beautifully. And we said as well, like, he's actually similar in a way to Jiejie, that a lot of that pressure was when he used to play through mid and then turning that pressure into the bottom lane. I mean, that synergy from Scout still looks like it's there, and they can still turn that into classic EDG of putting that pressure into the bottom lane after getting Scout ahead.
Speaking of classic EDG, this is a classic matchup. Two of our oldest organizations, WE versus EDG, and it's not really looking great for a WE when we look at a historical standpoint. You look at the series total, it's 17-7 in favor of EDG throughout the LPL. They met 3 times in playoffs, with EDG having won all 3 of those bouts. So WE, they tend to have just a moment or two where they're just not really there. And this is exactly what we were going to see in the replay of, like, just that counter gank you talked about, knowing that Beishang is there, knowing that Scout could spell shield, and then Clearlove could just react.
And great ward coverage from EDG as well, right? They spot him on the bottom side ward, but they have a ward just placed up here on the top side as well. So they had the full mid lane covered at all points in times and did a really good job of shutting down that play. And especially for Beishang. Beishang is a jungler that likes to try and get these early leads and then use that to go and invade the opposition side, work through Shanks, through missing, start looking for picks in the opposition's jungle. But when he's already set behind, that becomes a lot more difficult to do, and it feels like WE take a little bit longer to ramp up when that's the case.
Oh, Scout walks over, but he's getting pinched onto. He has no flash just now, but without the Ritter's Bite landing, you are going to find it a little bit difficult. Clearlove actually ends up going toe-to-toe with Shanks to try and mitigate some of that pressure. But now with Meiko here, the 3 OGs, if you will, of Meiko, Clearlove, and Scout coming into this mid lane, just trying to clear up as much vision and be a thorn in the side of Beishang.
Might need a little bit more than that, though, as Winterbite lands.
Winterbite does land. You may be a thorn in our side, but we are a pesticide trying to kill off all the plants. Clearlove just goes a little bit too far to the sun. That is his first death on his first game, and now you can see the re-engage coming in. EDG, though, we don't really have anywhere to go. They even have Breed TP in to try and make this one work. They don't land the Winter's Bite. That means the Viper doesn't have to use any summoner spells, but the TP committed. They're just going to go straight onto the dragon.
And EDG just take that step too far. I mean, you could have got vision just at the entrance into River and been happy with that, but instead they try to push in, try to use the pressure that Scout had in mid, but he wasn't really in a position to follow up. You get the kills then over towards WE, and now Clearlove is set even further behind, especially on this Sejuani. You don't clear as fast as Beishang, so the fact you're setting yourself behind and Beishang's getting to clear faster means that this Zhao is going to get full control of this matchup now.
Getting the early Drake as well for WE, and they took away the baby. They took away the child from EDG from right under their noses, and this is just Clearlove, like, contesting for Raptors that you just don't need to contest for.
I mean, you weren't even going to be able to take them if you even could get them. You can see, look, there's already too many members here from WE, and Braum so good in these early skirmishes, but he's not, like, you're not able to deal with all this pressure from WE, especially as Breed starts to TP down as well. The Braum just tears them asunder with CCs across the board, and especially when you've got just so many members to follow up on. EDG fall. Now we're back to round 2.
Clearlove! That is not the position you want to be going into. Does, of course, have the passive, so able to keep himself out of harm's way, but I don't know if it's first game nerves or whatnot. This is a little shaky from the veteran in the jungle.
Yeah, I have a feeling that basically thought Beishang's path team was going to be, hey, I've taken those Raptors, let's go Krugs back in towards top side. So thought that Beishang would be on the top side, but Beishang never actually cleared his Krugs. So Clearlove pops over and finds the entirety of WE apart from Breathe in that bottom lane. And unfortunately for EDG, we were saying, hey, look, they like to play this pressure mid in towards bot side, but WE have been kind of parking themselves in that bot lane to stop that from happening.
Well, Breathe is down into the river right now. Scout looking for maybe a paranoia opportunity, but Breathe not handing it to him just yet. And we didn't get really to talk about the Gwen into Jayce matchup. We saw it earlier today, and of course it is a pretty favored matchup into Jayce, but if he can't get ahead, you will get some opportunities as the Gwen to come back into it.
Yeah, at the later portion of the game, you can do a lot where the Hollowed Mist is able to keep you at least away from the damage from Breathe long enough that you can get these big trades off, especially when you get access towards that level 6 and you got the ultimate Meiko. Needs to be careful, but I think the big thing that you're kind of seeing with the struggle for EDG is like, okay, Breathe, top lane pressure. Bot lane pressure for Elkin missing as well, which means it's much more difficult for Clearlove to try and operate and punish through this mid lane matchup. And now, Shanks does manage to get the lock up onto Scout, but no real follow-up.
Yeah, I think he was just using that because he had to use it. His ultimate was timing out, so just threw it in, got a pick. That's 100% ultimate usage there. You know, not really going to be gaining much else off of that. But with the Rift Herald being started, this is WE's territory, and EDG said, well, you took our dragon. We want to try and take your Rift Herald, but everyone's roaming up. This could be a big skirmish if either side overcommits.
You need to be very careful. The big thing for EDG would be trying to use Scout to engage here and follow up on Clearlove's ults as Flandre caught out.
There is the hallowed mist to try and keep away some of this damage. They're going to be the paranoia, but Gwen is dead. They trade the jungler for the top laner. You're happy with that trade right now if you're on the side of EDG, but there's the enchanted crystal arrow. Goes straight down on top of Scout. Clearlove hasn't got the health bar to survive. They trade 4 for 2, and WE get all the advantages.
And they're fighting away from where the members of EDG are. They're trying to play up towards this top side, and Viper's trying to play catch up the entire time. So they end up losing out on that fight. Now Flandre TP's back in. But this is not the coordinated EDG that we're used to seeing, and unfortunately a lot of that is kind of coming from Clearlove pushing the boat that bit too far.
Yeah, it just feels like he's going for stuff that he just shouldn't need to go for. You can see Clearlove here just trying to help out Flandre, but just over kind of half committing, not committing, then he full commits, and then it's just a little too late.
And they commit when Viper's not a part of this fight, right? Viper has been incredible for EDG, but he's no longer been a part of any of these skirmishes, just with the battlefield being chosen by EDG away from their AD carry. WE get to collapse first, and they manage to get these kills. Now, Riptown started up again, WE in the area, but Elk is bot lane.
Elk is bot lane, but he does not have his ult available to him now. Viper's out with Meiko, has to flash over the wall, and this just looks uncoordinated. This is a word I have never used to describe EDG in the last seat split and a half. This is weird to look at as a fan of this team, because this is just not how I perceive them.
Now, I think a lot of people were saying, hey, look, we wanted to see Clearlove back and doing Clearlove things, but unfortunately, it feels like nobody's really on the same page as EDG here, where you're trying to go in too aggressive, not really reading where WE are trying to play. And now you've got 20 seconds until this next dragon. You've got 1,000 gold lead already for WE and every ultimate up and available. So a team fight here for WE is going to be insanely strong. You need, as EDG, to try and buy time, let Flandre farm up, and then look to try and use this 1-2 combo with the mid jungle of CC in towards Scout, being able to follow up on that super well with the paranoia.
For Team WE, if it's a botched engage from EDG, if they don't get the burst down and kill someone off, the chase down with a Braum AShe is actually insane. You combo that with the Xin Zhao, then you just can't get away from people. You can even see it here. Glacial Fish are going to be used now onto Viper and Meiko. They will get the lockdown here onto Meiko, and just it's so easy. They just keep pushing him down. He's dead. The double solar flare just means nothing right now, and this is just WE just perfectly using their ultimates and just straight up power.
I mean, Meiko's dead. Beishang gets this second dragon uncontested. Now Clearlove trying to move in towards this top side, but I don't know. Like, this wave is a pretty far way off, and it's not like Breathe is letting him push into it.
Exactly. Now Viper needs to back himself away. There's the paranoia committed to the top side. They're going to try and force this one out. There is still no top wave, but they do not need it. Enough of a lockdown and enough damage with the Nocturne Sejuani combination means they do pick up the kill.
So they do get something back, but bot lane tower will go in favor of WE. They can get a second charge here and actually look for the tier 2 if they want to. I mean, you still have all 5 plates sitting on the top side, so yeah, WE, they're like, cool, we'll just go for the charge number 2.
Yeah, you haven't reset. We know we're going to be able to get this one here, and that is just, again, very slow, sluggish, and yes, Clearlove is a fantastic historical member of the LPL, but when you have a team that's so set on a particular style, with so drilled with you know, a particular setup for things and how they work around the map, changing that could just be disastrous.
And as well, like, I can kind of understand that EDG want to maybe give Clearlove a shot, because look, they're already guaranteed playoffs, right? They got EDG have been running amok in the LPL, so at this stage it's kind of cool. Maybe we mix it up, we get Clearlove in, see how it goes, but this isn't looking as clean, this isn't looking as coordinated, and I think a lot of these early invades already have set EDG behind, but usually when we see EDG behind, they'll right the ship, right? They'll go back to the game plan of, hey, we're going to play around this mid and boss, we're going to start to get these dragons off that pressure. But this constant invading to get overly deep vision has now set that mid and bot even further than behind, and WE now are in really strong spot to start looking for their own sort of picks, look towards these team fights where you've got Elk who can set them up from long range and fire down all this burst damage with the rest of WE.
For WE, you're happy as Larry. You're able to pick up your first items. You've got the Immortal Shield Bowl now onto Elk. You've got the Gore Drinker. You're almost towards the Eclipse here for the Jayce. You're sitting pretty. You have no issues whatsoever. You put Shanks on that bot side. No real kill pressure onto him. And now EDG, they have to commit resources to this top side. But Meiko's backing away. Flandre, there's nothing he can do. He can't stay here.
Yeah, you can see even Meiko just, as you said, walking around the side, not able to do anything. And now another tower goes the way of WE. And as well for EDG, like this feels like it's very much kind of a pick style composition, right? Where you're going to see if you can get clear to pick someone off with the Glacial, the ultimate. I forgot the Glacial Prison. And then you can get the Scout Paranoia to come in as well to very quickly finish off that person. But unfortunately, WE, they're just grouping up as this massive death ball running around the map and not giving you the opportunity to find these picks. And now they're shoving in towards mid as well. And where is EDG? There's no one here to actually try and defend. Flandre is still trying to push out top lane. Scout is off in the side lane. And it's getting really difficult for EDG to keep up the pace.
Very, very difficult. A lot of Freljordians in this game as well as I look into it. You know, a lot of Freljord, a lot of Glacial ultimates as well. Glacial Tomb, Glacial Fissure, Glacial Prison.
That's where it got me. I was like, it's not Glacial Fissure, that's Braum. It's not, it's which one is it? It's not Winter's Bite. It's not
which one is it?
Winter's Prison? No.
Tomb and Prison could pretty much be the exact same thing for both sides. But of course, we'll see if EDG can get themselves out of this hole. They are only about 3 and a bit gold down, so 3 and a bit thousand gold down, I should say, as first items are being completed. And they have got some good backline access. The problem is, though, if they're not coordinated, if they're not sitting on top of, you know, the same carry, the same target, it can go a little bit sideways for them. So they need to be coordinated. They need to pick someone and just go for them.
And I feel like a lot of this is going to come down towards... Oh, Viper, very quick lens. But I think a lot of this is going to come down towards Dragons, where you can either look for picks as WEs. You can see, like, find these choke points that suit your composition super well to take pop shots, as we're seeing on your screen. Might actually be... Or, as EDG, see if before WE really gets set up for these objectives, you can try and pick someone off. We said already you've got like really strong CC for single targets. When you look at that composition, a lot of damage that can come through very quickly. It's just a matter of trying to find the right pick for it.
And WE just putting down this pressure. They now have the cleanse off of Viper, so if they do get the Enchanted Crystal Hour, which they will have in about a minute's time or so, they should be able to maybe look for that pick again and using this vision priority and mid lane priority to just push out top, get themselves the reset. Shanks goes back, picks up a couple of pings for it. Even Evil has enough in the back pocket to get himself a stopwatch, and it becomes very difficult now for EDG to fight this as Meiko. Oh, Meiko, you're in no man's land right now. He's just going to have to try and run away, and this fight could be done before it even starts. Meiko does land the Solar Flare, but the Everfrost means that you are going nowhere. Leona is a tanky person, but only so tanky when 4 members are bearing down on you, and you have no engage now. You have no real tank to go in on top of this. You have to give this one up. This is sole point for WE.
They will trade Rift Herald, but definitely not worth it, especially for the Infernal Soul as well. Now, WE just running amok in this game. Nearly a 4,000 gold lead. They've gotten that both sideline turrets down. It's only a matter of time until they get this mid one. Maybe try and contest EDG, it looks like, on this.
They're going to go for it. They're going to try and jump in. The smite is good, but Clearlove, will he have sacrificed his life for the good of the Rift Herald? It looks like he will. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes right between the posts and doesn't land anybody else, but I feel so wrong.
Meiko, come on.
He has to flash. This is disastrous from EDG. It's not even just one person. I can't even just put this all onto Clearlove. Everyone's just misstepping.
This is FDG right now. I don't want the E anymore. Like, this is a fail all around. I mean, now mid lane turret's got to go down. They've yet to push this in, but I don't know what's going. Like, this is not the EDG that we really want to see come into today.
It's just such a far and away departure from what we know, what we've seen, what we have, you know, had for so long. And WE are loving it. WE have no pressure on them. There's no one putting any pressure anywhere to make them question, should they go for a play? Should they, you know, maybe not go for this deep vision? They're just, as you say, running amok and not really questioning everything because EDG are just not giving them any questions.
And now the problem becomes as well is that WE have full control of the map. Meiko might actually be in trouble. No, going to walk away. But as you start to look towards Dragon number 4 here for WE, They pressure top side. You can already see Breeze pushing that in. Shanks is going to be fine to push in bot. They have full control over your mid lane as well. They get deep vision. It becomes really difficult for EDG to try and contest, especially when you look at trying to enter river. Like, you try and come through one of these tight corridors, Braum ults, Enchanted Crystal Arrows, Shock Blasts, even Xin Zhao just standing in front of them with the Crescent Guard going, yeah, you're not getting in here tonight. Like, it is so hard for EDG to do anything.
It's just, again, I'm so unbelievably speechless that this is the EDG that is 10-2 in the standings. This is the EDG that lost to RNG, but we didn't really think much of it. We thought, okay, look, you're losing to RNG, they're on the up and up, and if there's a team that you're going to lose to, you know, no problem losing to the current young champions, you know, the reigning champions, if you will. And it's just, I don't know, it's just such a strange situation. And now Missing finds Meiko. Meiko, no flash as he burned it last time. There is the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, goes between the posts. They find themselves a support. They're going to force the Arctic Assault out of the Sejuani, so she has to back away. And I don't know, Dagda, what happened? Who is this team? Because they're not EDG. They're not our #1 team.
I mean, we all kind of know what happened. Nobody just wants to say it, all right?
No,
so we're going to move that conversation.
The idea of Clear Love was nicer in my head.
Yeah. So now WE going to start pushing in this top side. We said, look, 2 minutes until that dragon. Hell, here we go. Side lane push. Breathe going to be pushing on towards tower. Makes it very difficult for Flandre to try and dissuade this, especially when you look at more members of WE starting to collapse here. So EDG lose more of their structures, lose more access to the map. And it's now WE just walking away, Missing maybe get caught here. Has his flash, though, to get over the wall.
It does have his flash, but don't think he'll need it, to be perfectly honest, as the rest of WE were around. And they have the Rift held here for EDG, so they will be able to drop that one into the mid lane, possibly pick up this tier 1. You can see already L try to put down the damage, and oh no. Oh no, are they going to be able to stop it? No, they will not. They did not hit the eye. Thank God Clear Love was able to get that one little positive going for him. And but again, it's an incredibly small win when you're 4,500 gold down, and this is just poor backing. Like, it's so lazy.
Yeah, I mean, Meiko gets cut out. I mean, again, it feels like EDG just are not keeping track of where WE are on the map. And now, again, the positional errors come through because they're going for these lazy backs because they think they're safe. But in reality, they're really, really not. Now, WE start to push out once more. Dragon in 50 seconds. Look at how far ahead WE are. 5,000 gold for themselves. And all the extra stats they get up from Dragon. And the fact the composition that they have does really well at this point in time. So there's not really any spot here where I see EDG being able to contest them. Like 2 items across the board here for WE, whereas you're still waiting for another half item on most of EDG.
Not only that, but you're missing a flash on Clear Love. You only just got the flash there for Meiko, so that's at least a positive, but nobody's missing summoners now onto Team WE. You have Zhonya's for Shanks. You have a stopwatch for the Ashe. The priority is in bot and mid,
Good news. The good news for EDG is 2 level lead for Flandre and also a level lead for Scout. So the 2 solo laners have been doing work in those side lanes. Nashor's 2 just finished for Flandre as well. Maybe the solo laners can look to carry this.
I mean, maybe, but this objective is going down so quickly. There's the paranoia. They're trying to jump down onto the backside of this one. The Jayce is being the target, but I don't know if that's going to be the dragon fight. It's a fight on 2 fronts, but you can see the damage from the Shanks. You get 1, but you lose 2. And with this Braum, Ashe, Shanks combination, it's just so much CC, and now you've given up Infernal Soul to WE.
And the EDG experiment not quite working out the way that they planned. Oh, Viper just got spotted. Oh, Shanks didn't quite see him.
I think he did, yeah. No, he did. He's just trying to give him a false sense of security. Should be able to stop him. There's the flash. Will it be enough to get him out? It will not. The Everfrost is there. Scout does get the paranoid nightmare down to get the fear off, but he's in a lot of hurt. They're actually waiting for a couple of seconds. I think they're TPing. They're going to TP in. They're going to TP in straight away and try and kill off the Nocturne. But they know they can't.
They don't need to. So, like, all right, cool. Like, he escapes. Great. I mean, you're just on the Baron anyway. So, yeah. Overall, WE, like, what? They just run away with this game. It's been absolutely WE control from start to finish. Beishang has got this early lead in the jungle because of these over-aggressive invades with Clear Love, and now they're just slapping EDG across the map. This could have been okay. if we only got the one commit from Scout on towards the Jayce, I don't think you needed the commit from Viper here as well. But when you look in the pit, like, you're just getting massacred. Everyone on EDG falls in an instant, and there's just nothing left in the tank then for EDG.
Exactly what you said, though, is that with Viper committing alongside Scout to try and kill off the Jayce breathe on the top half of that map or that play, where's the damage? You put the exhaust on the Flandre, you CC him up. What is it? Who's going to kill them? Leona? Like, no, it's just not going to be a thing. So the allocation of damage in the team fight was just very, very separate. And again, it's just not what I anticipate, not what I think of when I think of EDG. And unless they can find a miracle fight, I honestly think they lose off of this Baron push. I don't think they can defend against this. They're just too far behind.
Yeah, there's nothing that they can do. You can even see you're being threatened on that bottom side with Shanks as well. Scout has gone into the back line to try and make a play.
They're going in. This is the final ditch effort here for EDG. They're looking to try and kill off the Ashe, and they will get it. Flandre doing work, but here comes Sylas. Here comes Shanks doing so much damage, and they will trade back 2 for 1 in favor of EDG, but with another nice little move on top of the Leona, they get it back 2 for 2. They still have Baron, and now EDG have no way of clearing these waves.
And EDG just lined up so perfectly in that fight. Shanks comes in, steals away the Gwen ult, and between the chain lashes and that Gwen ult, he's tearing EDG apart. There was nowhere for them to hide, and I wasn't sure if we'd see WE try and commit for the end, but it looks like they're going to be happy with that mid inhib and more.
And more indeed. They're going to look to try and take the kill that they just got off of Scout. Now move on to the tier 2 on that bot side. So more and more gold. It's an 8,000 gold lead. Almost 9,000 now with that dragon or that gold from the tower going towards them as well. It's going, I'm going to call it right now. Clearlove, I'm sorry, you're very historically loved and everyone loves you. You're not welcome on this team right now because this is atrocious from EDG.
Yeah, never meet your heroes, you know.
No, you'll just be disappointed.
But, I mean, look, this hasn't worked out, and I think, unfortunately, as we said, like, missteps from Clearlove, not able to get these early wins going their way, over-aggression coming through from Meiko, and Meiko as well, not having the best of games. He's got caught out several times as well, and this team fight, as we said, Shanks comes in, tears them apart, and now they're picking up Flandre.
Yeah, Flandre, the Ghost, has been used in response to the exhaust. He will be able to get himself out, but that is, again, another tool used, and WE, they have the run of the map. They could wait 2.5 minutes if they like. They could just barrel up the mid lane, bot lane, whatever they want to do. And yes, well done, Viper. You'll get this turret, but you're going to lose your base.
I mean, they're just desperate to get anything, any sort of standing gold to help them out. You can see, look, only just now completed that second item for Viper. Still sitting on that serrated Dirk, so he's a ways off. There's no one here on WE, or on EDG that can actually test Scout. Just trying to shove out that mid lane so they can't try and fully commit towards this tower. But WE might try and go for it regardless, especially if they can pick off Scout.
See what they want to go for, and Viper just taking so much poke. Scout looking for an avenue back into this. 2 inhibitors have fallen, and you can see Superman is now in this mid lane, barreling up, and WE just taking their time with it. They don't need to overforce anything right now. They have all the advantages in the world.
And they have all the range. Like, they're just so good at poking here with the Ashe, with this Jayce as well. And that's the Terror slipping away from EDG.
Yeah, there's just too many threats. Viper gets chunked out again. They steal a Solar Flare, forcing his flash out of him. The Paranoia comes in on the backside of this one, but the Everfrost lands onto everybody. Yes, they get Flandre coming in on the backside. Maybe he can turn this one around. Flandre doing his so much right there, but it's going to be on Elf. It's going to be on Shanks. It's 2v3. Shanks makes it a 2v2, but look at Elf. He's just kiting. They can't get on top of him, and it was a decent effort from EDG, but there is nothing they can do. The future is now, old man, as WE completely decimate EDG in this first game.
That was destruction. We got the one nice counter gank coming through from Clearlove to start this off, and from that point, WE just put their foot down. Like, none of this. They tried to invade into that bottom side jungle. Beishang shuts them down. They start to get the dragons, and every objective just slipped out of control for EDG. They got a Rift Herald that they barely even managed to get the charge off on.
It was not the glorious return that people were expecting from Clearlove. You can maybe put it down to nerves, hasn't been on stage for a while, maybe even, I don't know, like lacking in a couple of different things like that, but I just feel like right now, EDG, that's not what they need. They need that proactive jungler. They need the Jiejie, you know, coming back into the squad and just getting that cohesive unit again. Like, they lost the early dragons. It just didn't look like EDG.
You know, I mean, everything was gone awry, right? We get the even down to partly the draft as well was kind of confusing for me. Like, I couldn't clog where the Ashe was taken, but like Viper and Meiko were saying have been amazing in that bottom lane. They've been standing up to everyone. I mean, wiping the floor with Gal and Ming in their last series.
Viper was a mute.
But yeah, but the lane didn't let him do anything. Like, Elk and Missing destroy that bottom side. You try to engage, you get a Braum shield, and Elk just kills Viper before Viper even gets in range. You can't even run away because she just chases you down as the Ashe. And even when you look elsewhere in the map, like Beishang dictating the pace of that jungle matchup, Breathe as well being left in an island against Flandre means he's in a great spot. And the only matchup where you had some semblance of control was Scout versus Shanks, which quickly went into Shanks' favor when he started to get these early kills because of the over-aggression from Meiko and Clearlove consistently into the jungle.
And I think on Shanks as well, if you want to be a good mid laner in the LPL, you gotta play Sylas. It's just becoming, it's alongside Rise for me of just, you want to be a good mid laner here, you gotta play these two picks. That's just your bread and butter, and then everything else can be your pocket pick. You know, it's an incredible game for you. We're going to look quick at the MVP, and just as I'm talking about the mid lane, it is Shanks the MVP on this Sylas, able to bring it back in that last little team fight. It looked like maybe Flandre could have gotten something going with the Gwen, with the needlework, but just not enough.
Yeah, just managing to come back up, finishes off everyone, and he was huge. I mean, every single fight we were just like, wait for Shanks. Look, don't call your chickens before they hatch. Wait for Shanks to show up. Consistently finding these big plays, taking EDG pretty much by the horns and controlling this game the entire time alongside Beishang. So a great performance from Shanks.
It really, really was, and it's great to see this guy coming into his own. Like we talked about at the start of the split, Mole came in and a lot of people were very excited for Mole. I think Mole is still a fantastic mid laner, but it just wasn't what WE needed. It wasn't what fit in the puzzle of the WE picture, and Shanks has filled that role. Shanks has really come into his own and is standing up to some pretty decent talent.
Yeah, and I think the big reason that we are seeing Shanks more and more is because he works better with Beishang. Like, he's more willing to facilitate what Beishang wants to do, play towards these side lanes, and it's a working formula that WE have. And unfortunately for EDG, their working formula is kind of gone out the window now, so we'll have to see what the game plan is for them when we get into game number 2.
Yeah, we're going to send it to a quick break, and when we return, we'll see what EDG have left in the tank, or if WE will be rolling to a 2-0 win. Do not go anywhere.